Hi, welcome to Promote, Profit, Publish, episode 2. Talked last time, if you were listening, a little bit about who I am. Today, we're going to really kind of explore how we got to where we got and what the point of this podcast is going to be. First of all, I'd love to invite you to go over and take our assessment and find out where your skill set lies. It's at www.promoteprofitpublishquiz.com. And as you'll find when we have our guests on this show, the assessment is a pivotal piece of what we do to audience build for your books, products, and services. So even if you're not interested in finding out where your skill set is, please go over and explore the assessment marketing, because it really is the key to finding that audience and knowing exactly what they want. So what we're going to talk about today is more of the journey, how we got to where we are, and why we do what we do, and what this podcast is going to be about. I mentioned in the last podcast that I started my company back in 2010, 11-ish, and it really was the beginning for me of figuring out that publishing companies, the traditional publishing companies, were doing less and less to help authors promote. They wanted someone who was already just automatically going to be profitable for them. And that's great if that's something that really works for you. A lot of people were producing books for business, and that wasn't working for them. They wanted to go the self-publishing route because they knew they couldn't get their book published traditionally. It's a long, drawn-out process, 18 months to 2 years by most accounts of people out there. And there were a lot of things going on with those books that weren't serving people as well. One of them was that a lot of times when you were accepted for a traditional publishing contract, your book came out 2 years later and it didn't look anything like the book that you put in there. The object of these companies was to make it more mainstream, which, I totally get. They want to make a profit, and we always have to keep that in mind, is publishing companies are in business to make a profit. My second book came out. It was mediocre, just like the first book was. Sales-wise, it did better than the first book. But then my third book, Granny Heist, came out, and it was really a game changer for me. I had a lot of sales, over 20,000, I believe it ended up over 25,000 in sales between my Kindle and all of those platforms that I used. But what was really, really the game changer for me is that back then, Amazon would actually put you into a mystery bestseller list. So my book was, I believe, at number 38 between Janet Ivanovich and Sue Grafton, which was amazing to me because I'm a huge mystery reader, and those were two of my favorite authors. Janet Ivanovich, she still is, with her silly gang of, I don't know, kind of half-assed detectives. I love them. I don't even know how they solve anything. And Sue Grafton with her Alphabet series. Really, really big people that I admired and looked up to. And every time a book came out of theirs, I anticipated it. But what really happened at that point in my career with this was that writing was an accessory. It wasn't paying the bills. I still had a day job. But I had people coming to me saying, how did you do that? And a lot of it was platform building, getting out there and getting myself known. And that's where so many people struggle in this industry, is how do I get myself out there and how do I get myself known? Literally, platform building, you can spend hundreds of thousands of dollars and nobody will know who you are. It's all about the sequencing of how you do it. It's about understanding that your book is a product, just like all of the other products. Here's the problem in the entrepreneur space that back then, and it still is a problem today. Many of us will have an area of expertise. We'll decide we're going to be a coach. So we'll hang out our shingle. We don't have any business experience. We don't have any marketing experience. And most of all, we don't have any money. And that becomes a problem with so many of these people who are really, really struggling. They have great intentions. They're very passionate about their subjects, but they just don't have the business sense. And many of those people have been taken advantage of by coaches who don't actually care much. It's more about the volume than actually serving their clients. And that's pretty much across the board in the marketing world. So let's go back and look at 2013, 2014-ish. People were going out and they were writing business books. They were going to these big rah-rah sessions, writing coaches. I could name some of them, but I won't. And these coaches were telling them the reason your products and services aren't selling is because nobody knows who you are. A book will cure that. It is the end all be all. And unfortunately, that wasn't exactly the truth, because what really gets you out there and known are your platform building activities. What are the things that are going to make you money every day? Where do you need to be known? Where do you have to go? And do you have to show up in a way that's salesy? There were so many things going on back there. People were trying internet marketing and it wasn't converting. And it was really about doing this in the right sequence, and not only in the right sequence, but building trust. You guys can probably all remember a time when the internet, like everybody was out there making $1 million on the internet. Well, the truth was a lot of people really weren't. They were just telling you they were. But the people who were going to a lot of events. They had a system that worked. They were building email lists, and they were building trust and referrals in the marketplace. And that's really, really what kickstarts you as an entrepreneur with a book. Around 2014, 2015, people started bringing us their books, and we started asking, why? Why did you write this book? Because we really wanted to hear, what was your audience connection? Who's your audience? A lot of the answers we got with self-help books was Jack Canfield's audience is our audience. And for us, we were thinking, well, Jack Canfield just didn't pop up one day and write a book and become well known. Everybody thinks that's what happened with Chicken Soup for the Soul. But really, Jack had been around for quite a while. He had been doing a significant amount of internet marketing. He was well known, and that was, like we say in Hollywood, his big break. It's kind of like that Hollywood waiter who's been waiting tables for 15 years, and all of a sudden he's like the big guy in Hollywood. And people are saying, oh, he's new, he's this, he's that. He's been around for a long time paying his dues. So we were seeing that people were coming to us and saying, I've been told that this book will help me sell more products and services. The problem is when we went back to those products and services and we explored the whole idea of why they did it and who their audience was, the fact was they didn't have an audience. They weren't talking to people. They hadn't queried an audience, or they weren't talking to the right people. People weren't interested in their products because they had been created because I thought there was a need. That's what we do. I see a need in the marketplace. Well, what's really pivotal here is you may see that need, but then you're in the position of convincing people, and that never goes well in the sales world. You really need to be intentional and talking to people, your potential audience, before you create anything, so that you actually know you are creating the right product and service for them. So that's where we began. In 2016, we transitioned our whole business to start going back and serving those authors that were bringing us books and saying, let's put off developing, publishing this. Let's go back all the way and find out why these products and services aren't selling. Let's actually start communicating with the audience. And we developed a system that is 3 parts. We call the first part foundational tools. The second part are your getting known tools. And the third part is your let's monetize now. And that takes a tremendous amount of capital and patience and being able to do that. Because remember, this is just like a business. Most businesses don't just go out and start selling their product. They need capital. They have the idea, they need capital to manufacture. It's the same thing here. Keep your day job when you're going through this journey, because that's why people run out of money. They lose a job, or they quit their job and say, I'm this kind of coach now. And unfortunately, this all takes money to be able to do. It's a very rare individual who can build their own platform. So that's what we're really all about, and what we're going to explore in this series is, those foundational tools. How strong is your message? Who is your audience? Are you connecting? Do you have an avatar? We do a lot of this with assessment marketing, which we'll talk about as well, because that's a way, we have a proprietary system that not only helps you be able to connect and query that audience and develop content, because content is essential, but be able to begin lead generation. At the very minimum, as an entrepreneur, you have one-on-one coaching you can sell. Let's get that refined, and let's actually get some of that sold and see what these people actually tell you they need instead of what you are assuming they need. This is huge. This is a big, big piece. There isn't a company that goes out there with a physical product who doesn't establish a need first before they get their capital. We have intellectual property that we're selling when we're selling books, products, and services. And so we have to be able to go through the same process and do the same things. So what we're going to be exploring with the guests that are going to be on is, how do we get that client avatar? How do we start the book? How do we do this assessment marketing and really get clear on who our audience is and what they need? How do we go back and develop and then get ourselves out to the world? We need that book. There's no doubt about that, but we have to write the right book, and we have to have the right talk. And we have to be getting ourselves in on stages and in front of massive amounts of people. One of our recent clients did that. She had her book. She wasn't selling enough. We developed the assessment marketing for her. She spoke in front of 400 people and had tremendous results. One of the things that we'll be talking about a lot too is conversion. One of the early things that happened with the books was people were bringing us, these online marketing attempts. Oh, look, I have a landing page. Look, I have an opt-in. I have a free giveaway. But the problem is I don't know how to get people there. My ads aren't working. My whatever it was wasn't working. And it wasn't always the efforts getting people there. It was the conversion once they got there. So there's so many moving parts to all of this. And many people come to us and we see they have all these scattered pieces. They don't know how to bring them together. So this is going to be a journey for those of you who listen to this, a journey and for many of you, you may have to go back to the very beginning and reassess an audience. You may have to connect with some of these people that we have as guests and talk about, how do I develop that signature talk? How do I develop that assessment and get it out there so I can really start connecting? How do I get great content out there? The world is shifting into a value paradigm. How do I prepare content, which is a must, that brings value and builds trust and develops my well-knownness? I know that's not really a word, but how do I get out there and get known and build all this without being super salesy? Because that's another thing that kills you in the internet world is salesy, convincing. So this is going to be a journey as we go through these podcasts of really exploring all of that and finding out if we have a platform already, how we can make it better. If we don't have a platform already, how to start out on the right foot and refine those products and services and find out why they're not selling, how we can do a better job, how we can generate more leads. For those at the very beginning, how do we start from scratch? And one thing that we're going to talk about here over and over, and if you don't like the sound of this, this probably isn't your podcast, and I invite you not to listen any further. All of this takes work. It's a business. It's a process. It's actually a growth process. As you guys go through building your platforms, you're going to find that you're going to grow on so many, many levels. You're going to rebrand because you've grown. But the key to all of this is promote, profit, and then publish is our way of saying, let's go out and get yourself well known. Let's generate profit. And not wait until after the book is out there. Let's get all of the pieces integrated and moving. And you as an entrepreneur, a coach, an author, a speaker, or a small business, let's get you making money before you even think about the next steps and the book. Thanks again for stopping by. We'll see you in episode 3.